In this video, we're looking at similar meaning. Some of this material has been taken from our verbal reasoning book, which you can find below in the description via the link, and we're providing a free 20-question PDF download for you to practice at home. So let's get into it. Similar meaning is about finding similarities between definitions or different words. So let's have a look at the explanation here. These questions are about similarities in definitions. Underline the 2 words in the brackets that have similar meanings to the 3 words on the left. So as you can see here, we've got walking, running, and skipping. And these will all share a similar meaning. Okay? So we should be aware that walking, running, and skipping are ways that we can move forward. We're presented with 5 words here on the right in brackets: sailing, jogging, driving, standing, and striding. 2 of those words will match or be similar in meaning to these 3 words over here. Walking, running, and skipping are all verbs of movement, so that's how we move back and forth. So jogging and striding are both forms of movement. Jogging is like running slowly, and then striding is taking big steps and walking. However, standing, that's not involving movement. Sailing involves movement but requires a ship or something like that. And driving involves movement but also requires a car or a lorry or something like that, a vehicle. So our answer will be jogging and striding. In order to do well in this verbal reasoning question type, you really need a good vocabulary. So let's look at some practice questions that I've created and we'll see how well you get on. Okay, so we're presented with these 3 words here: home, house, and dwelling. Now they are specifically places in which you live. So we're presented these 5 words: abode, cubicle, cave, villa, and comfortable. Now, let's just use some elimination here, just to show some good exam technique. Comfortable, we can eliminate straight away because that might be how you feel when you're in a home, but it isn't actually what a home is. So these are all places where we live. So we can immediately eliminate this. So I'm just going to cross that out in blue. Now, cave, at one point was a home, but I suppose we can rule that out because it's kind of unusual to live in a cave, especially in modern times. So we can cross that out. Cubicle, now this just reminds me of a toilet or something like that, and that's probably wrong. We wouldn't live in a cubicle. So we can cross that out. And we're left with abode, a bit of a fancy word for home or dwelling, and villa. So those are the 2 that are most similar in meaning. We'll move on to our second example. So we've got flexible, malleable, pliable. You might have heard of the word pliers. So pliable sort of helps things bend. So these are all to do with bendiness. We've got the word limber, gymnast, accommodating, rigid, and inflexible. So this is a bit interesting because there's a word that's very, very similar to them, but then we're sort of using a different meaning of those words. So let's again use elimination. So gymnast is someone who is flexible. So these are all adjectives, right? Flexible, malleable, pliable. So gymnast is a noun. Someone who is flexible, but it's not a similar word. So we can cross that out. Then we've got rigid. Rigid obviously means the opposite of flexible, malleable, pliable. So we're going to cross that out because that's an antonym. So we'll cross that out. And then inflexible is very similar. So that's also a antonym. So we can cross that out. And we're left with limber and accommodating. So limber, again, means flexible, sort of in the sense that you might originally have thought. But then accommodating can also mean something similar too, because you can be flexible in terms of your thoughts and ideas. You can be malleable in terms of your thoughts and ideas. You can be pliable in terms of your thoughts and ideas. And you can be accommodating in terms of your thoughts and ideas. So that's also something that you've got to watch out for in similar meaning. You sometimes have words that are similar, but they're used in different contexts. So let's look at our third example. We've got sort, class, and rank. These can be used as verbs. So I can sort things, I can class things, and I can rank things. That's deciding what level that something's going to be in, or organizing something into a certain layout or something like that. So we've got sort, class, and rank. Let's again use elimination. So pupils, I've sort of put in there just to confuse people a little bit, because pupils and class seem to go together, but they don't mean the same thing. So I'm just going to cross that out. We've got grade. So grade is actually, can be used as a verb or as a noun, and this actually fits into, so it has a similar meaning to sort, class, and rank. We've got divide, subtract, and develop. So again, I put in subtract to again confuse people a little bit, because I've got divide and subtract in there. So subtract doesn't mean sort, class, or rank. And then develop, again, develop means to change something. So again, it's not the same as sorting, classing, or ranking. So we're left with divide. And divide can actually mean to sort into groups, class, or rank something. Those are our two words, grade and divide. Our next example is argue, contend, and hold. So this one's quite challenging. I'll put that in there just to test your vocabulary a little bit, keep you on your toes. So if you argue, contend, or hold something, that means to have a fixed opinion or something in this context, because you've got the words contend and hold. I put in a few examples here that bear some resemblance to argue, but could not be said to be the same as, or most similar to, contend and hold. So argue and fight, they do go together. But let's look through more of our examples. We've got maintain. Now, maintain is actually the one that's most similar to those three examples altogether. We've got feud, which again is similar to argue, but it's not the same as contend or hold. So we can cross that out. And we can cross out fight too. Fight's not the same as to contend or hold. Then we've got abandon, which is an antonym, because it's, if you abandon your idea or abandon what you believe, then that's the opposite of contending or holding that idea. So I'm going to get rid of that. And we're left with advocate. So our two answers are maintain and advocate. So you can see how important it is to have a wide vocabulary. So let's move on to our final examples. We have originate, derive, and emanate. Again, I've thrown in some interesting words there. Shows you how much you need to know for 11 plus. So these actually mean where something begins. Yeah. So I originate from, this can be derived from, this can emanate from. Let's look at our 5 words. So we've got develop, stem, conclude, retreat, and outcome. I've put the 2 answers actually first. So we've got develop and stem. So something can develop from something, or it can stem from something. Now, the trick here is you've got to know that stem can have multiple meanings. You might originally think that stem means like a plant stem, but it can actually be used in this way. So something can stem from something, or something can have its roots in something. Yeah, flower metaphors. Conclude, that's not. So these are all from the beginning. That's from the end, so it's kind of like an antonym. So we can cross that out. Retreat. Retreat means to go back from something, so it's not that. And then an outcome is, again, an antonym. So we're going to cross that out. And our final example is expire, perish, and succumb. Right? All of these mean, so you might have heard of expired milk or perishable goods. It means that it can die or rot. It's quite obviously going to be die. It's going to be one of the 5. But the final one's a bit more complicated. We have vital, peril, and exist. Now, exist doesn't mean the same thing as something needs to exist in order for it to die, but they don't have the same meaning. So I'm going to cross that out. Then peril, that means to be in danger of dying or in danger. So we're going to cross that out because that doesn't mean the same thing as to die. And then vital means that you're alive. So it's actually the opposite, like the word vitality. So I'm going to cross that out. Or it could also mean that something's important. So I'm left with croak, which is my sort of strange example. So if you croak, that actually means to die. I hope that was useful. Remember that you can check out our verbal reasoning book in the description below, and you can also find that link to those 20 questions in that PDF. To watch another verbal reasoning video, click over here, and don't forget to like and subscribe.